It's Saturday. I'm extremely bright. Pun intended. Anyway, I figured that I would make a video, like talking about when I first realized that I was trans and, kind of just like a backstory, I suppose. And then, how people reacted to me coming out, stuff like that. I might have only half of it. So I guess we'll start from when I was a little kid. Ever since I was just like really small, I've always felt like a boy, but I was so young that I really didn't, know how to think about that. I mean, I was only like 6. There was times where I wanted to do stuff that my dad and my brother were doing. My dad would let me. I would want to go out and help chop wood and, just stuff like that. And I remember there was a couple of times where I would get in trouble because I would go outside without wearing a shirt, and my mom would be like, "You can't do that. Girls can't do that." And I just remember thinking like that it didn't make any sense to me. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, that doesn't, why? And I would ask why. But I remember being little. I was probably in like the 2nd grade. I remember going into my brother's room, and I would take his underwear out of his underwear drawer, and I would wear it to school. And I remember this one time, we had to line up, girls on one side, boys on another side, and for the bathroom or whatever. And I went into the boys' bathroom. I got in trouble by a teacher, and they never told my parents, but I got in trouble. I remember never wanting to wear dresses. Oh my god, I hated dresses. Up until I was like a teenager, I just fucking hated it. It made me feel weird. It didn't feel right. Like it didn't feel right. It was weird. When I was 19, I was dating this girl, and, when I was 14, I came out as lesbian, and my mom was pretty pissed about that. I remember when I wanted to get my hair cut, and she wouldn't let me because she knew that, I always wanted to wear boys' clothes. We would go to the store and I would beg my mom to buy me boy clothes, especially in middle school. And I talked to her about it the other day, and she was just like, "Yeah, you'd always want me to buy you boy clothes, and I didn't understand why, and blah blah blah." And when I was in middle school, I got picked on a lot because by the time I was 12 and going through puberty, I never wanted to wear a bra. I refused to wear one for the longest time. I would go into my brother's room and get clothes out of the closet and wear it to school, and I was growing a pretty dark mustache and, hair on my face and shit like that. And people, they're just fucking mean. And this one girl, asked me, "Why do you dress like that? Do you want to be a boy?" And I would get so offended and so pissed off about, like, her saying that. And, by that time I was, confused about my sexuality and, shit like that. And I was just really confused and depressed, but I didn't really understand why. And I was probably in like the 8th grade. People started calling me a lesbian, and I used to get so, I would get so pissed off. I would get so angry. Like, I'm not a lesbian, that's gross, you know, blah, blah, blah. Because I come from a town, like a really small town in Wisconsin, that, you know, gay, lesbian, you know, transgender, stuff like that was like taboo, and everyone knew everyone, and it was just, I was pretty much raised when I was younger that that was bad, and I was going to go to hell. Shit like that. So I was offended and pissed off, I'm not a lesbian, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time middle school was over and then I went to high school, I started identifying as a lesbian because that's, I mean, I dressed like a boy and acted like one, so I figured that I was a lesbian because I liked girls. And there was a time where I would date guys, and it just felt, they were never long. I mean, they probably weren't longer than a couple of months, if that. My shortest one was probably like 6 hours. But it just felt so weird. It didn't feel right, like, at all. Like I should have been friends with them, you know, like not, I hated when they would try to kiss me. I would never kiss them. I would never hold their hands. I hated when they'd hug me and like rub my back and shit. It just made me so fucking uncomfortable. So then I figured, well, maybe I like girls. So I started dating girls, and all through high school I identified as a lesbian. And then up until I was 19, I still identified as a lesbian, but I was still super depressed, and I didn't understand why, and I hated my body, and, you know, I was super dysphoric, but I didn't, you know what any of that meant. So my girlfriend at the time asked me, she goes, do you want to be a boy? Like, do you ever, you know, walk around wanting to be a boy, or do you ever put your strap on in your pants, pretend that you have penis? You know, shit like that. And I sat there and I was like, you know, I was like, yeah, I do. And so she grabbed my laptop and pulled up YouTube and pulled up some guy that she knew that was transitioning and had me watch the video, and I watched it, and it just like fucking clicked right away. I was like, oh my god, I feel exactly like this person, and I felt amazing because I had a name for what I was feeling, and I could identify as something that, you know, made sense to me. And so I came out when I was 19 to my mom. I wrote her in a 8-page letter. The beginning was basically telling her, you know, from when I was little up until now about how I felt and how I don't feel like a girl, how that I'm a boy, and, you know, I would feel like I was born wrong with the wrong parts, you know, stuff like that. And then I put in some reference pages that she could look at, you know, talking about testosterone and the effects of them, and the surgeries, and, you know, therapy and stuff like that. And basically, it went fucking horrible. She cussed me out, and she was just super fucking upset and just didn't understand. And then maybe like a week or maybe a few days later, something like that, she told me that she would love me no matter what and stuff like that. And I got my first binder, which that was like, I was so happy. I was ecstatic about that. But yeah, that's pretty much my story. My face is so white. But yeah, I'm super excited about starting hormones. Yeah, so that's my story. And I guess I'll let you guys go since this is 10 minutes long now. Alright.